Hello, everyone. Hello. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be here with you guys in another episode of Untangled. We're on episode 67. We're cruising. Hello. Say hello. Let me know where you're from. Untangled episode 67. Halloween. Not a big fan of Halloween. I never have been. Hi, Ireland and Kansas City, Missouri, Hawaii, but currently in Mexico, Seattle. Let's see. Something Beach, Oregon, Ontario, Canada, Castro Valley. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Halloween. I remember when I was younger, it was like, it's Halloween, let's go, let's make our costumes. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not making anything. I will put a freaking cowboy hat on and cowboy boots. And my girlfriends loved making outfits. I mean, I'm talking weeks. They spent weeks to put on an outfit that's not them, to pretend they're somebody that they aren't for a couple hours. I'm like, I'm so confused by this holiday. I'm still confused by Halloween. It does something to me, and I think it has something to do with how programmed we are as humans just in general. We're very, very programmed. We're very programmable. Thank you, Miley, for the super chat. I love you. Waiting for my telegram from you. We're very programmable, right? And we believe almost anything, believe it or not. And then once we really believe something, it becomes very difficult to convince us otherwise. And so there's all these masks that we're constantly wearing. So it's been very difficult for me throughout my years to agree to continue to perpetuate putting on costumes and pretending to be somebody that I'm not. It just was so dissonant. I was like, no, I already do this enough in my life. At a very young age, I was like that. Just couldn't buy into it. But people love to be somebody other than who they are. I find that fascinating. It's kind of one of the things I want to talk about today is really how difficult it is for us to truly just be who we are. And how when we continue to not just be who we are perpetuating that programming, but anyway, before I get started, really excited about this episode. I have a lot of energy. Maybe because I've given myself permission to really just openly share about what I've been going through. I don't know. Anywho, before I get going, if you're new to my channel, I do Untangled, this series every week, and I basically try to make the uncomfortable very comfortable. I try to talk about the evolution in human consciousness in a way where we can all feel like we're not so crazy, because we're not. We are moving through a natural process of evolution, which is where the frequency of the body is moving from one state to another state, which allows us to be in new ways. We're going through it in the external world. The entire planet is going through it. So I started this in order to bring to light the very basic, very humbling, very boring, very profound ways in which we will be experiencing this through the lens of the human, being human, not these spiritual woo-woo, like far out there types of topics, but very grounded, down to earth experiences, of shame and guilt and insecurity and abandonment and abuse, and fighting against what you're thinking and feeling, and no longer being in a relationship and still being codependent in relationships, or not sure how, whatever it is about this amazing, profound human experience. Let's just talk about it. Let's stop trying to pretend that we have it all together, because nobody does. And anybody that looks like they have it all together, I would really start to question that. It doesn't mean that everybody should be talking about what shit they're going through. They absolutely shouldn't. But there should always be this understanding that nobody has it together. Nobody does on this planet right now. Everybody's going through things. It's just they don't tell you. And so one of the reasons that to me that's a disservice, but I completely understand why we do that. We have roles and we play those roles, and then when we're by ourselves, we let out. We go through stuff, right? We don't want to show it to the world. I've made a commitment to start showing it to the world more and more. And one of the reasons is because if we can show our shit to people, to humanity, then humanity looks at themselves and says, oh, I'm not so shitty then. If somebody else is going through what I'm going through and I think that they're pretty cool, well, then what does that mean about me? Then I'm not so crazy. I'm not so bad. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not as fucked up as I thought I was, right? When we continue to watch people that somehow seem to have it all together and are talking about all these ways in which you want to do this and you want to do this and you want to do this to make this life and to have this love and to have this, and you're not seeing what's happening behind the scenes, you feel really inadequate at times. You feel like there's something wrong with you. Why can't you get there? Why are you the only lonely one on the planet, right? And so if there is anything that this Untangled series does, I hope to God it makes you feel not so alone, and that the messier your life is, the more courageous and amazing and beautiful and profound and awe-inspiring you are to the universe and to your soul and to your spirit and to all the angels watching and all the other souls watching. This is not about walking through life beautifully, perfectly, safe, secure, got it all together. Fuck no. This is about diving so deep into this journey that you are dirty and scraped up and messy, and you've got a black eye and one arm is dangling and your toes are falling off and you're sliding in like, I don't fucking know what just happened in that lifetime, but I'm pretty sure I lived it. That's what you want, especially in the time on the planet that we're in right now, right? So I don't know where that came from. But here's the thing, you guys. Tomorrow, which is November 1st, before I get going on my soapbox, which I apparently already started, if any of you have done my class, Align, I've done 4 of them. This is the 5th class I'm doing. It's called Align, and I'm doing Align 5.0. We start tomorrow, November 1st. This is a class where we sit together for every single day for 21 days. We commit to ourselves and we sit. We practice being in silence with some mantras, with some pointers, with some tips for 20 minutes, maybe 25, usually 20 minutes. And then we talk after that. I answer questions every single day for 21 days. That's all we do. And it's life-changing. I don't fix your problems. I don't give you solutions to your problems. I don't tell you how to get out of or to get through something. I simply just guide you, and you guide you back to right here, right now, which is what is the most important place to be, is in absolute presence, in peace, and in calm, in silence. Now more than ever on the planet, we need to stop and be in silence with ourselves every single freaking day. It's going to get louder and louder in the external world. It's going to get louder and louder in the internal world. And we are going to continue to get caught up in this fast-paced. Let me tell you something. Okay, anyways, Align 5.0 is November 1st, 21 days. It's $59, unlimited access to the recordings forever, so you can go back and listen. 10 a.m. California time. If you can't join us live, you'll have the replay. It's life-changing. If anybody here has been on it or done the Aligns, what has been your experience? I have discount codes for people that can't afford the $59. I honestly want everyone to join this class right now. It helps to navigate the world. It helps to navigate the internal world. It just helps to just sit. It helps to realize I don't need an answer. It's okay if I don't have an answer. It's okay. It helps to just be in absolute silence. It helps to recognize you're not your thoughts. It helps to recognize you're not your emotions. It's so powerful. Anyway, Align 5.0, the link is in the description. We start November 1st. We end November 21st, $59. Coupon codes if you can't afford it. We're live on Zoom, 10 a.m. California time. Get it. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Okay. All right. By the way, I did not wake up in this mood. I woke up sad, depressed. Um, not depressed, but what? Why did it just do that? Oh my God. Wow. It does that on Zoom, and now it does it on YouTube. You guys want to see something else? This is a tad bit frightening because I figured this out when I was on Zoom on my last Align class, and I was like, oh, Zoom has a new feature. Now I'm realizing that they do it on YouTube as well, which means that they do it all over the place. Okay. Let's get into it. All right, my intention for today's class is or not for today's class, for today's Align is hopefully to make you feel like whatever you're going through in your life, even if there's not much that you're going through, that there's nothing wrong with you, right? That there is absolutely nothing wrong with what you're experiencing. All right. So, there have been two themes this past year that I have been navigating. And the one of the themes is my work, my service, how I show up in the world. It's the most important thing in my life. Um, watching what's happening right now in the Middle East, it ignites me. It makes me want to figure out how best to serve. How can I show up for humanity and ease the suffering and the pain? How can I remind humanity of what we're doing here? Of why we're going through what we're going through. That is in my cells. It's in my DNA. It is in the forefront of my life. It's the number one thing in my life. Over relationships. I don't have kids, over everything. Good, bad, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. And so that has been a big theme this year. Because last year around July or June or July or August, when my book came out, The Divine Design, which I'll be talking more and more about, which I highly recommend you get. If you haven't gotten the book, The Divine Design, it's profound, powerful, and I'll be sharing more and more about it. It's the history of humanity and Earth, from a very fundamental, basic, foundational sort of story. But anyway, once the book was published in August, I hit a wall, and I felt like I needed to go inward and shut down completely. But because I have such a strong desire to show up for the world, I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know if I could do it. Would I lose my community? Would I lose money? Who would I be if I wasn't showing up? What does that even mean? I don't even know how to not show up, right? Like I just show up every single day. I didn't know what it was like. To give you an example of what this drive in me is, prior to last year, every morning I would wake up and there'd be this like, what are you going to share today? It was the first thing that I thought about. There was almost like a weight or a heaviness until I shared something. And I don't mind. I'm not bitching or moaning or complaining about it. I'm just sharing with you what my experience is like. And so when I kept getting this feeling of you've got to go inward, you've got to go inward, you've got to go inward, Lori, I was like, well, where do I go? Do I go to like a Vipassana retreat? Do I shut everything down for a month? Do I shut off? What do I do? And this brings me to the second theme, which is relationship. I hadn't been in a relationship prior to writing my book. So it was like 4 years because I committed to writing the book, The Divine Design. And I knew that if I was in any type of relationship, the book wouldn't get written. And I knew that I had to commit 100% to my book. And so book's done and I'm exhausted and I don't want to commit much to my work. And so I'm feeling this internal call to go inward. Hadn't gone inward in years because I'd been downloading the book and writing the book and editing the book. And in November, I connected with a friend of mine and we started like dating on and off. Um, and dating on and off for almost a year. And it was this beautiful gift that he gave me of a deep, deep practice of awareness, which is different than what I normally do. So what I normally do is connect with the galactic beings, the Galactic Federation of Light. I go on ships. I sit on ships, I hang out with the aliens, but I don't share that with you guys. I just share with you the messages, right? I share with you what the collective is feeling. But I have never done a deep, deep inward journey where I went and found absolute awareness, which is the God within us all, the soul or spirit of each and every one of us that is inside. And so I connected with this individual and started practicing, which is where a line came from. Right? A line came from my practice with this individual. But it was not an easy kind of relationship. It was up and down, in and out, back and forth. Took me on a roller coaster ride. Thanks, Steve, for the super chat. All of my deep, 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 deep abandonment wounds came up more than any other time in my life. And abandonment is my number one sort of when you come onto the planet and you're in the Akashic Records library. Thank you, Martin, again for that super chat. When you're in the Akashic Records, right, which is this beautiful sort of like energetic library where you get to choose as soul or spirit, like core experiences that you're going to have, right? It's kind of hard for people to understand. You choose your parents, you choose where you're going to live, like where you're going to be born, the day, the time, you choose soul contract, you choose so much. And I chose one of my core consciousnesses was abandonment, like bring that shit on. And so that was a big piece for me in relationships, abandonment and unworthiness. So here comes this individual, this man, an amazing human on so many levels, just an absolute angel and gift to this planet, but has some pretty intense relationship stuff as well, and it triggers my abandonment. But it's also gifting me with this beautiful practice of awareness, which is how when you look back at your life, okay, if you have the perspective from a humble, non-attached, non-judgmental place, you should have the ability to look back and be in awe of how your life unraveled. You see, in this past year with this individual, never once has it been, he's done something to me. Never once has it been, Lori, you fucked up. You made the wrong choice. You did it wrong. Right? Never once have I looked back and said, oh, I should have. I shouldn't have. What I have done in this past year is looked back and been in awe of how absolutely divine it all was. Every moment of it was absolute divine perfection. Here I was wanting to go or having this strong urge to go inward. I didn't know how. And this is how the universe works. The way the world works, universe works, you as universe works, is that the personality, the Lori, the Bill, the Page, whoever else is on here, right? You don't know how it's going to unravel. You have no control over it. You don't know. You can try to predict it, but you don't know. And so it's going to unravel the way it's unraveling. What you do know is what you're desiring. I desire to go inward more. Don't know how it's going to look. Desiring a relationship. Don't know what it's going to look like. Both popped in, right? And both popped in with in ways that I wasn't expecting. Never expected to be with this type of individual, with this man who was a friend of mine first, never, and never thought that it would be this inward awareness journey. And so at this point now, it's been exactly almost a year. I look back and I'm like, wow, this has unraveled in the most profound way, because not only am I now in this deep, deep practice with myself, call it awareness, which will never go away. In fact, about 2 months ago, I connected with my galactic guides, and they said this was necessary. This was necessary for you to understand and to feel God within you, or whatever you want to call it, God, spirit, soul. It doesn't matter what you call it, okay? But it's inside of you. It is not solely outside of you. If you believe that there's something outside of you that's helping you, that's fine, but it is inside of you. And to feel that, to know that, to be in that state of bliss, that state of oneness, that is the greatest gift any of us can be gifted, because it never goes away. And you will always remember that you are not what you think you are. So I was gifted that in this past year, right? And I went deep into it. And then in June, it was really apparent to me that in this relationship, this on and off interesting relationship, abandonment was coming up and unworthiness was coming up, and it was being reflected to me in the relationship. And I had two options. The option was to continue to perpetuate the patterning of codependency. So I'm not worthy enough. I'm going to grab on. I'm going to hold on to this man. I'm going to make sure he loves me. I'm going to make sure he gives me what I want. I'm going to make sure he sees how great I am, right? That's a very deep, deep attachment style. That's rooted in abandonment and unworthiness. Or I could say, I'm done. I'm going to break the pattern. I'm going to go so deep inward that I may feel like I'm going to die, but I'm going to break this pattern finally. And many of you know when you have that point, you know it. And most of us have a difficult time choosing to break the pattern because of what it means, what we're going to have to feel. When you finally choose to break the pattern, it's an energetic experience. It's an absolute, you know you're about to do it. You're scared shitless because it's something brand new, right? It's way easier to just stay in the old pattern, and you can blame anybody you want. Many, many times we will blame other people. They need to change. They have commitment issues, right? They have communication problems. They just need to do this. They need to go to therapy. And it has nothing at all to do with them. It has everything to do with you. That's why you're in relationship with them, is so that you can see your pattern and you can choose. Especially on the planet right now, when we are in a massive evolutionary shift in consciousness, which means we are moving from out of old states of being into new states of being. How do you do that? You have to choose. You have to choose new ways. New ways is breaking old patterns. So June, I said, fuck, I'm done. I got to break. I got to end. I got to be done. I got to end it. And so I did. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. And it was like a cold turkey for a month. It was cold turkey though. And I would say that month of June was one of the most difficult months of my entire life. I've talked about that, and I've talked about this in Untangled. I talked about it in my Patreon community. But for me personally, listen, the whole world is going through chaos right now. There is genocide on this planet in ways that we would, it would shock us. There is horrific atrocities happening all day long. There is governmental systems that are taking over this entire planet. There are reptilian energies that are taking over humans. Like, yes, all of this is also happening, but so too is your life. Right? There is a macro world and a micro world. It's all happening simultaneously. So when we focus simply on what we are going through ourselves, I would argue that it is perhaps the most profound thing that we could be focusing on, because you do not change the world by focusing on it and learning about it and trying to get it to change. You change the world by changing yourself, period. And that sounds like this big, like, kind of like overarching, whatever type of statement, but it's absolutely true. Which is why no matter what you do, you will constantly be redirected back into your own traumas, into your own shadow, into your own thought beliefs, into your own thought forms that take you into your own relationships you're ignoring, all of it. The emotions you don't want to feel, the emotions you're trying to change, everything is about your own state of being. And when you change your state of being, you change the world. Because the world is going to continue to show us the most dark and evil shit we could possibly imagine. And it doesn't change until the human starts to change. So I'm saying this because I don't want to negate what's happening on the planet right now. But I think it's extremely important to understand that we need to die over and over and over again in our own inner worlds in order to show up in the best version of ourselves to change the planet. So in June, I died. I went so deep into this abandonment experience that I believed so deeply about myself. I was so afraid to be alone, even though I had been alone for years. It was a deeper sense of being left, of being all by myself, of being with just me. And man, I don't even have words for it. I'm sure so many of you have felt this, right? And it's so difficult to explain, just like feeling God is so difficult to explain, feeling oneness. But I died multiple times that month. I went to the depths of my soul, and I came out at the end of that month. I don't know why it was just a month. I mean, when I do things, I fucking go in and I'm like, kill me now. Like, I go all in. If I'm going to do it, I'm going all in, and I'm not going to waste fucking 6 months. Like, let's do this. Like, I'm good. Like, destroy me now and I'm done. Like I'm like, I guess that's kind of why I have an addictive personality. Like, I'm just all in. So I gave everything. I spent every possible moment going inward, every moment. I didn't waste a single moment. I mean, talk to my friends and my family. I was like, I'm not wasting one moment of this. It's like I kept saying in June, I'm like, I'm not wasting one moment. I'm going all the way in. I want whatever this is. I want it to show me exactly what I need to see. I want to feel every single thing. I knew that whatever I was going through in June, if I didn't go all the way in, I was missing the gift, and I did not want to do it again. I did not want to have to go back into the deepest core of abandonment. Now, if I go back into abandonment, I'll go back into abandonment. But it was this initial burn that I had to commit to. And I did. And, 6 months later, I'm not afraid of somebody leaving my life. I'm not holding on to somebody because I'm afraid. I'm not trying to change somebody so that they don't leave. I'm not trying to change me, and for many of you, you're probably like, oh yeah, that's how I always am in relationship. But for people that are really afraid of abandonment, we will do a lot to keep somebody in our lives, a lot. And so anyway, back to the commitment. So through this whole thing, I went to Europe, and I was doing my book tour, and in May, I went to Toronto and did an event, but I wasn't in my highest aligned state. I was deeply inward. I was practicing awareness, which I wasn't really talking much about. I had a book that came out that was completely different than awareness. It was all about how the earth got here, how humanity got here, reptilians, abductions, UFOs, hybrid programs, the evolution. It was very different than awareness, right? And so there was this really strange dance that I was trying to do. I didn't feel like showing up at all this past year. It felt like a lot of efforting to do it, which never feels good. And then I had this relationship that I was keeping to myself, going in and out of, that was showing me my abandonment and unworthiness. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay. So in July, we started talking again, and I started settling into this deep, deep trust with my work. I knew in my work that um, I would come out and I would start doing what I came here to do on the planet. I would come back into that aligned state and I would start doing it again, which is where I'm at right now. I knew that though. I knew that in February. I knew that in April. I knew that in June. I knew that in July. But I had to give everything over to what was arising, which was, oh my God, what if I never do this work again? I had to give everything over to it. Even though I showed up, and if you're in my Patreon, you probably had no idea I was going through this, right? Because I didn't share it, but it's what was happening. What if I never do my work again? It was a lot of fear. Who am I? Who am I if I'm not doing this? And then the relationship started to move again in a new direction, and we started reconnecting. Moving back into that state of being in relationship, and really trying to make it work. Really trying to make it work. Here's one thing that I have, struggled with, and I know that it is not an absolute truth, but because my work is the most important, it's number one. There is definitely a fear that I have that I will never really be able. This is a limiting belief that I have, okay? But there's this limiting belief I have that I'll never truly be able to have a partner because my work will always come first, right? So how do I balance? And I'm not talking about work where you have to find a balance of these are the hours that I work. My work requires an alignment, an energy frequency alignment. I don't know how else to explain it. It's not like, oh, I can just go into my office and just do my work. I can do that, but it's not the highest aligned state. There is some sort of like contained frequency that I step into where it's like, oh, I'm back. It's go time, right? So I have this fear that I'll never be able to have a partner where that's going to match, where I'll be able to stay in that aligned state, connected to this like commitment and motivation to show up and still have a relationship. This is probably confusing to you guys, and I apologize if it is, but it's real. It's very real to me. And one of the things that this individual kind of showed me is that it is possible, and yet it is a big, big challenge for me. It's a big challenge to find that. And the other thing I learned in this relationship with this individual is that regardless of how amazing a relationship is, if it pulls me from my work, I have to reevaluate, right? And this individual isn't pulling me from my work, but the distraction of a relationship was pulling me, which just gives me the clarity of, figuring out how to not get distracted. I don't know. This is a lot of like personal Lori stuff that I'm just sharing with you guys. Hopefully it helps you in some way. Anyway, this beautiful individual, this beautiful man, came out for a month and stayed. And it's not necessarily going to work. And there's this realization that that the time has come, for it to be complete. How it's going to be complete, meaning like how we're going to navigate that, I don't know. But what's so beautiful about this time frame around all of it is, it's neither one of us blamed the other individual. It's nobody's fault, right? Both of us are trusting in something so much bigger. Granted, we're not married. We don't have children. Like, I get this. Okay. I get it. I'd still be the exact same way. I would still be the exact same way. We are not here to be in relationship and blame other people. If you are blaming somebody else. Now, the other day I got in a huge fight with him and I yelled at him, screamed, blamed him, called him not so nice things. Like, I was fucking fed up, right? And I lost my shit. Um, but because there was an awareness around all of it, there was an awareness that that just was, and there was apologies, and he didn't take it personally. Maybe he did take it personally, but he also understood where it was coming from. He also understood why. Um, he didn't blame me. He didn't make me feel bad. He didn't try to do anything other than I understand. And then for me, because of his reaction, there was this ability for me to realize that he's doing the best he can. I'm doing the best I can. He's doing what he can with what he is dealing with what is in his inner world. If he could do it differently, he would. If I could do it differently, I would, right? And are we trying to open up and be in different ways? Sure, but is it happening? Not in necessarily in the way that would allow us to continue to be in relationship together. So yes, you get angry. Yes, you say things you don't mean to say. Yes, it gets dirty and messy. But you try to come back to this homeostasis where you realize that it isn't about them. It's about recognizing what you are accepting, what you're allowing, how you see yourself, how you view yourself. Um, it's about the reflection of you, and man, oh man, if you can be that way in any relationship, in a 1 year, in a 6-month relationship, in a 5-year relationship, in a 25-year relationship, you will be able to navigate it in much more ease and in much more grace. Everything is showing you, and not just relationships, okay? Everything right now is showing you what you need to see so that you can change out of old, predictive, controlling programming that was given to you by somebody else or something else. We are literally breaking free. We're breaking free from the ways in which we have been controlled, whether it's been controlled by our own inner world or controlled by other people or controlled by the systems in the world. But that's what's happening. Whatever is showing up in your life right now, take a deep look at it, especially if you're blaming someone else for it. Because this game, it's a universal sort of video game we're playing on the planet, but every single human has their own joystick. Every single individual human is responsible for how they're playing their game. And the more that we continue to blame other people, which is exactly what we're doing right now in the Middle East, it's crazy to me that we are being and behaving and responding and reacting in deep programmed ways. We're still not questioning. Are you questioning your own ways of being? Are you questioning your thoughts? When we believe something so firmly, whether it's about ourselves or something else in the world, we will defend it to the ends, no matter how much information is given to us on the contrary. That's how powerful the human mind is. It doesn't want to let go. It's why it's so difficult sometimes to change, because these really deep unconscious thoughts that you hold, that you're not aware of, are so convincing that there's almost nothing that can present itself that would convince you otherwise. And this is unconscious. And so that's why you want to really start to open your eyes to everything that's happening right now in your world. There is nothing happening other than an evolution in human consciousness and the gift of being alive, the gift of being human. That's it. There's a gift of being human in every moment and an evolution in human consciousness. And no mistake that you're actually experiencing it all. And so now it becomes this empowered choice that you're making every moment of every day and recognizing how you're making it. And looking back at your life and saying, I should have done it differently. This person should not have done that to me. Whatever it is, however you want to see it. You can look at what's happening on the planet right now and realize the layers, the complex layers of what is being shown to us, and how that is a reflection of the complex layers within us. And it's quite simple how we navigate what's happening right now. It's very, very simple. We come back to stillness and silence. We come back to our natural state, our natural being. We figure out how to come back to that. We question what's pulling us out of stillness and silence, slowing down. What's pulling you out of? The other day I watched a movie, an old movie, okay, not a new movie. Go watch an old movie from the 70s or the 80s, okay? And you will realize how fucking fast the world is going. Because movies back then feel, when you watch them now, very slow. Like, oh my God, like, okay, it's not that old, but you're like, geez, this is slow paced. It wasn't slow paced. That's life. Life now has we have been so conditioned to be in such a fast paced world. It's not natural and has nothing to do with the frequency on the planet. So the frequency on the planet increases doesn't mean that we get more intense. The frequency on the planet increases, your body's frequency increases. You're going to do the opposite. You're going to slow down. So there are these systems in place that are going to keep us going super fast, super fast, super fast, super fast, super fast. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? Now what's next? Now what's next? Wow, what's next? I can't watch that 30-minute video. It's too long. I can't watch that. It's 45 minutes. I need something fast. I need something to stimulate me immediately. Stimulation, stimulation, stimulation. It's like taking a drug. And we don't even realize it. Go back and watch a movie in the 80s. And pay attention to how slow it moves compared to where we are now. The movie was actually really good. It was with, what's his name? John Travolta, Rene Russo. What was it called? Come on, you guys, give me the name of it. Not Breakfast Club. That's good. John Travolta, Rene Russo. Who else? Phenomenon. Yes, sis. Phenomenon. Not Get Shorty. Phenomenon. So good. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really, really good. Yeah, he becomes psychic. Yeah. He has like all these like supernatural powers. Such a good movie. It's really good. It's really, really good. Yeah. So anyway, in the big scheme of things, these are first world problems, right? Like whatever it is that I'm sharing right now. And I'm very humble enough to admit to that. But it is also part of a human experience. And, I think that We are being asked to stop pretending. We're being asked to let go more and more of what we're still trying to control, trusting deeper, feeling everything. Um, you know, this past year, there was a big part of me that was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to, you know, feel that deep, deep motivation and drive to do what I've been doing in my work and to be okay with that. And to know that however it unravels is exactly the way it's designed to unravel. What am I going to do? Fight against it, right? And when I allowed more and more or released more and more into what just simply was arising, when I stopped fighting against it, it showed up. I have more drive, I have more passion. I am so excited to step back out, to get going again in my work, and to inspire and to show up more. And then with the relationship, right? It's like, one of the things that I committed to in doing and being in this relationship was being present. It was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's be present. I don't know what's next, but let's be present. Um, I don't know how this is going to be, but let's be present with it. And that's difficult in relationship because many times you have to make decisions, um, and based on how it may be, but I've done my best to be in the moment with this individual as much as I can, and um, to make the decision in that moment, right? I don't know. I think a lot of people, I think that we're being asked to live in new ways. We're being asked to be in new ways. And there will be a lot of kicking and screaming and arguing against these new ways of being. Um, but what I have, some of the takeaways that I've had this year, thank you so much, Starry Sky, from Serbia. Thank you, my friend. Really, really appreciate that. A couple of takeaways from this year. I mean, granted, it's only November 1st, but I feel like for me, there is a sense of some sort of closure in some way. And but anyway, the things I've taken away is absolute trust in what's unraveling in your life. Um, that whatever is going to unravel is going to unravel, that deep down you actually do not have control over it. And you can argue with me till the ends of the earth, but you actually do not have control over what is unraveling. You have choice, but you can't control what's going to happen. The second thing I realized is how important choice is, and that choice happens the moment choice arises. So someone just said there's a lot that's going on where people are wondering if they should stay or go. 100%. Should I stay or should I go? And should I do this or not do this? And what I have practiced for many years, what I have really integrated in this past year, is that when it is time to know, you will know. When the moment comes where you will know. And until then, you'll be either in that back and forth, or you won't know, or you'll know something and then the next day it will change. And then 3 days later, it changes again. This idea that the human needs to stay in a controlled state is going to die. And you're either going to suffer deeply as the state of controlling things starts to get pulled from you, or you start allowing it. It's the natural state of evolution where we have to let go of controlling everything. And the more that we try to stay in control of things, you will be in more and more suffering. Thank you so much for that super chat. So I recognized deeply in this past year that I'm not in control, but that I have choice. and that the decisions I need to make will arise when it's time for that decision to make. And in the meantime, having compassion for however it is I'm feeling, for whatever I'm going through, for how uncomfortable I feel. The other thing that really integrated into me was nobody's doing anything to me. Thank you, Nan, so much for that super chat. Really appreciate it, my friend. That nobody is doing anything to me. No one. That has really, really integrated deep into me. You know, I've had awarenesses around certain things with certain people in my life this past year. I've let a lot of friends go, or they've let me go. Um, and it is what it is. Thank you, Star Dog, for that super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't blame them for what happened. I don't blame myself for what happened. It's I just continue to bring it back to me and let it show its reflection on to me. What is it that I needed to see? What is it that I needed to recognize? What is it that I needed to allow? What is it that I needed to, whatever it is. I can still look at someone else and say, I don't approve, or I don't appreciate, or I wouldn't act that way, or I wouldn't be that way, or whatever it is. I don't like that. Like, do I wish that the man that I was in this relationship with this past year, do I wish that things had been different? Of course. 1000% I wish it was, but that's arguing against what is. What is what's arising. What is what's right here. I can fight against it and try to change it and fix it. Or I can trust that it's moving us into new ways of being. Or I could stay with it and let the old patterns continue to play out, which is totally fine as well. Either way, compassion, which is the next thing that's been really, really huge this past year, is the deep, 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 deep compassion for myself and others. Deep compassion. That is number one. That should be what you should be experiencing, compassion for yourself and others, the moment you wake up in the morning and the moment you go to bed. The world is going to continue to show us our shadow. It's this thank you, Janelle. You're so welcome. Hopefully you can join us for Align 5.0. I'd love to have you. Boop. So weird. I'm so sorry. Give me freedom. I'm really sorry for your loss. If you would like to join us for Align 5.0, I'd love to offer it to you. Sometimes when what's so interesting, when we did our last Align 4.0, we did it. We did Align 4.0 all of October, basically. And a lot of people had some tough things happen to them. People dying, people getting sick. They lost animals. A lot of stuff happened during Align 4.0. And one of the reasons I'm doing Align 5.0 is because just showing up in that class every day and sharing what you're going through that day was enough. It was enough. There was something so profound about each person that wanted to share. Shungu, thank you. It's good to see you, my friend. What tends to pull you out of presence? How do you deal with it? Everything pulls me out of presence. Everything. Thoughts pull me out of presence immediately. And how do I deal with it? I'm just aware. Conversations can pull me out of presence. Emotions, Peru, thank you so much for that super chat. Um, Emotions can pull you out of presence. So presence to me is this state of kind of like a flow where you're just moving with what's coming up next. So right now I'm just doing untangled. I feel completely in presence. Thoughts come, thoughts go, emotions arise of like maybe some insecurity or like I wonder what people are thinking, but that's fine. That's allowed in presence. Sensations come and go. Everything is allowed in presence, right? It just comes and goes. There's this flow state. What happens when you move out of that flow state through awareness? Um, Hopefully that didn't upset shift anything. My phone just rang. What happens when I'm pulled out of awareness is my awareness goes to something in the future, it goes to something in the past, or it fixates on something. I got to get out of this. I got to fix it, or you numb out. Right? So there's a numbing out feeling, which is totally cool. Sometimes I'll just watch a show and just like I started watching Stranger Things, and that's a presence. It could also be a numbing out where you're not present, right? Where you just kind of are like, what just happened? Where was I? And there's this numbed out feeling, but you could also watch it and be completely present in the fact that you're watching Stranger Things. If a thought comes in and it's a thought about a future thing, and all of a sudden the thought grabs you and you go off into la la land and you're no longer present, you're in the thought has you and you're following the thought, which means you're now thinking about what's next. Well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to fix it? How am I going to make sure you're not in presence? Or thought comes up about what happened six days ago, and now you're thinking about or you're thinking about what you need to do, anything other than what just is right here, right now, which is very, very difficult because any thought can come in and it's going to pull you. It's going to try to grab you, which is okay. So it's this constant awareness of where your awareness is, and the humility of how very often throughout our day we are actually in presence. But going back to the woman that lost her son yesterday, thank you for that question, Shangu. Why I'm doing Align 5.0, why I want to come back to this is because there is nothing wrong with experiencing whatever it is we're experiencing, whatever emotion, whatever thought, whatever uncomfortableness, whatever it is. And we have been living in a programmed world where we have been designed to either stuff it, try not to talk too much about it, or fix it. And all three of those are not our natural state. Our natural state is that we just show up, we express, we allow, it just is, and then the next thing arises. And then the next thing arises. And so we show up. How's everyone doing, right? Oh, this happened and this happened. I'm feeling this and I'm feeling this. And then what we realize is the next day, we say, how are you, right? What's going on? And that person yesterday that had lost their dog and was in so much grief is feeling differently today, right? And it's like, oh, wow, great. It's just an absolute allowing of whatever is. And there is something profound when you do that for yourself. When you actually sit quietly enough to allow you to be in what you're in without this victimhood, woe is me, or I need to get out of this, there's something wrong, I shouldn't be feeling it in this way, whatever that is. There is, and to have a reflection or a community that just sits with whatever is arising in themselves and in you. It seems so obvious. We don't do it. We are trying to either help somebody get out of what they're in, get them to understand it, change it, fix it for them, or completely want them to stop talking about it because it makes us uncomfortable. What we're here to remember is that we are none of what we are experiencing. And that we are in this profound, miraculous experience called the human. in a time on the planet where there is this massive evolutionary physical shift in consciousness, which means that you are moving from different states of being. And everything is going to happen the way it's going to happen in order to gift you that. And we are being forced into doing things in new ways. New ways, over and over again, new ways. How am I being offered to do this in a new way today? How am I being asked to respond in a new way today? Oh, this is how I normally respond. Is there a new way of being right now? That's what's happening. Pay attention to, you guys, to the agendas that you're telling yourself, and pay attention to the agendas that are playing out right now. Really pay attention to it. Thank you, everyone that gave me a super chat. Thank you, everyone that just showed up today and just let me share my Cliff Notes version of my experience this past year. I'm really looking forward to how it's going to unravel. I had this um, piece, this thing come into me this morning that said, you're going to go to, I live like 4 hours from Mount Shasta. I haven't been to Mount Shasta in over 3 years. And I got this hit this morning and it said, go to Mount Shasta this weekend or whenever, as soon as possible, and document it like on live, like do live videos, live everything. And I've never done that. You know, I'm pretty quiet in my, my life. But it was like, no, you're going to document your journey there and what happens and what you're feeling and what you're going through. And I don't know why, but I'm going to follow it. So I'm going to take you guys with me to Mount Shasta probably this weekend. I'm going to go. We'll see. Anyway, if you want to join us for Align 5.0, the link is in the description below. We start November 1st. It ends November 21st. Please do not let money be a reason why you do not join. Email us and we will help you out. We do our best to get everybody to participate that has the desire to join us. So please, 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 please reach out if you feel it. And even if you can only pay $5, you will be let in. Okay. It's a powerful time on the planet, internally and externally. And, I was watching videos last night. One more thing, I know I'm going over, but I've really been doing some, I've been researching what's happening over in the Middle East with Palestine and Syria and Egypt and Israel and all of that. And there's these beautiful Nobel Peace Prize individuals that videos like Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu. And I forgot the other person. And I'm listening to them speak about the human experience and listening to them speak about the power of, just for every human to have freedom and every human to be free. And it's inspiring. What we're going through right now is such an inspirational time on the planet, no matter how intense it looks, and no matter how dark and how heartbreaking it can feel. These are really profound moments and profound times for us to start opening our hearts more and more and really questioning everything. Question everything in your internal world. Why do you think what you think? Why do you think what you think? Can you be humble enough to ask that question? It's big. Why are you thinking what you're thinking about the external world? Who told you? Freeing ourselves. Freeing ourselves. Okay, I'll see you guys next Tuesday for Untangled episode 68. And come with me. If I go to Mount Shasta this weekend, hopefully you will join me. I will be doing probably, maybe I'll do a YouTube live. I'll be streaming it on my Instagram stories, Facebook stories. And if you're in my Patreon, you'll be coming with me for sure. What a year. What a year. I would love, yeah, I listened to Gabor Mate as well. I would love to hear how your year has been in the comments below if you'd like to share what you've gone through this year, what you've learned this year, what you've realized this year, little things or big things. I'd love to hear it. So if you want to share in the comment section, I would love to read it. Love to read what you've been going through. We're in this together. I can't wait. I don't know what 2024 has in store for us, but 2023 has been such an inward journey. Rose, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this. I was out of the blue, called to watch today. It has been so spot on. Love, harmony, and joy. I'm so glad you watched, Rose. Thank you for letting me be me, and hopefully you will be you so that you can allow others to be who they are. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Is there anything else? Join us for Align 5.0. Love you guys. Also, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Oh, Align. Oh, how quickly we forget. Bye, you guys.